If you run out of things to say when you talk to women and keep running into long, awkward pauses that totally kill the vibe, you need to watch this video very carefully and take notes, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to give you 17 simple questions you can ask to revive a conversation with a woman. 17 questions that you can just copy and paste anytime you're stuck and don't know what to say next. And I'm also going to show you how to follow up after she answers your questions so that the conversation picks up momentum and moves forward smoothly. So if that sounds good to you and you don't want to go blank in conversation, again, pay close attention and keep watching this video. My name is Marni, and from here on out, I'm going to be your very own personal wing girl. Every week, I give you the no BS insider info about what women really want versus what they say they want, plus the most effective methods to win over any woman you like. Just hit that subscribe button now so that you never miss a video. So before I dive into the questions to ask women, I do have one question for you. As a man, do you take care of your skin? Because you should, and when you do, you should be sure to use products from today's video sponsor, Tiege Hanley. Skincare is not just for women, it's 100% for men, and today's video sponsor, Tiege, is going to help you do it. Tiege Hanley is one of the world's top skincare lines for men and will help you make sure your skin is clean, clear, less wrinkly, and oh so kissable. Tiege Hanley has made taking care of your skin super easy by sending you boxes like this that comes with everything that you need to take care of your skin. They have a daily face wash, an exfoliant scrub, an AM moisturizer, and a PM moisturizer. They even give you this cute little instruction card that tells you what order to use things, how much to use. But you don't have to just take my word for it, because they have over 5,000 five-star reviews from customers around the globe. And because Tiege is sponsoring this video, they're offering you an amazing deal. So if you just click that first link in the description, you will get 40% off your first skincare system plus a free gift. Plus, as a member, you're going to get 20% off for life. By the way, you have 2 gifts to choose from that are valued at $20 each. There's a silicone body scrubber or a nail and face grooming kit. I prefer the scrubber because I love having super soft skin all over my body. So don't wait any longer. Click the first link in the description to start your skincare journey today. All right, now on to our 17 questions. Questions are a great way to create fun, attractive conversations. It's a great tool when used correctly, but the problem is most guys use questions the wrong way. What they tend to do is they just ask one question after another, and then another, and then another, and the whole conversation turns into an interview, which bores anybody, but bores women to tears. And I've talked about this mistake in previous videos, so I'm not going to elaborate much more on that. But understand this: even if you're asking the most interesting, insightful, amazing questions, it's going to get boring after a while if you just keep going from question to question to question. That's why I'm also going to show you how to follow up after you ask the question and she gives you an answer, because this is where the meat happens, right? The follow-up is what really makes these questions work and revives the conversations. So it's important that you stick around and understand exactly how that works. Another thing I want to point out is that you don't have to use all of these questions. So take notes as I go through them and just memorize 3 to 5 of these. Even put them in your notes on your phone. Once you understand how to follow up properly, you won't need more than that in a single interaction. So with all that out of the way, let's get into the questions now. There are 17 of these, and I'll go through them one by one, starting with a very, very simple one. Number 1, do you like cats or dogs? This could also be, do you like pizzas or burgers? Do you like books or movies? Beach holidays or city holidays? Just any sort of this or that question works. Number 2, what's your go-to comfort food? Number 3, what's your biggest guilty pleasure? Number 4, if you had to be any flavor of ice cream, what would you be and why? That's a good one. Number 5, where did you go on your last holiday? Number 6, if you would wave a magic wand and just go off to anywhere in the world, where would you go and why? Number 7, what's something you'd like to learn if you had the time? That's a really good one. Number 8, what's your favorite thing about yourself and feel to brag? You don't be shy. Number 9, what were you like when you were in school? For example, a rebel, a daydreamer, a nerd, the popular kid. Number 10, what movie did you watch over and over as a kid? Number 11, what's been your favorite TV show lately? 12, what's your weirdest personality trait? Doesn't have to be serious. Number 13, if you could time travel, would you go to the past or see the future? Number 14, what's the best thing that's happened to you this year, apart from meeting me, of course, said with a cheeky smile and a smirk. Number 15, what would be the perfect day for you, other than hanging out with me, of course? Again, see? Number 16, would you rather be able to teleport anywhere in the world or read minds? Number 17, would you rather have a 1-minute conversation with yourself, your past self, or your future self? All right, so those are some of my favorite revival questions that I just shared with you. And I was getting distracted because I was like thinking about all of them. It like literally just sparks conversation and thoughts. There are obviously a ton more that I could get into, but these are more than enough for now. Because like I've been saying for a while now, what matters most is the follow-up. So once you ask these questions, it's going to provoke a response, because that's what you want. You're trying to get a response. And if you don't know how to respond to that response, you're back to square one. And you'll reach for another question, then another, and fall into interview mode, which is what you definitely do not want to do. I promise you, it's a turnoff, and it's boring, and it's depleting. So here's the most important part of this video. Here's how to follow up after you ask a question. You have 4 different options. So option number 1 is answer the question yourself. Option number 2, make a joke or tease her about her response. Option number 3, share a related story or opinion. Option number 4, ask her to elaborate. So let's look at examples for each one. Let's say you ask her, what's your go-to comfort food? And maybe she says pancakes, or she says ice cream, or whatever, right? The easiest follow-up here is to answer that same question yourself. Number 1, you want to say that you've heard her, right? So you could be like, oh, that's really interesting. For me, it has to be pizza. I could go for a pizza middle of the night. But there's also a better way. You see, when you answer a question, whether it's from her or your own, you should try to avoid super short replies. So in this case, don't just say, oh, for me, it's pizza, right? That's a conversation stopper. So elaborate on it more. Give the why. Give her more conversation content that she can latch onto and ask a question or make a comment about, or just to get to know you better. You want the why, the meat. So with the question, what's your go-to comfort food? You could say something like, for me, it has to be pizza. I could go for a pizza in the middle of the night. In fact, when I was a kid, my friends and I would do movie nights with pizza at least once a month. And whenever we played a horror movie, I just focus on eating and pretend not to be scared, right? That gives more about you. See how much better that is? First of all, it has some humor now, and that's always a good thing. But it also makes it so much easier for her to say something back, because there's more context. There's emotions to that. There's content. She can then talk about sleepovers with her friends, maybe a fun childhood memory of hers, something about horror movies. There's more for her to latch onto. And even if all she does is smile, she's now more emotionally engaged because you gave her a solid answer. It feels like a real conversation. Now, you can move on to another question without it being boring, right? Or like you're just throwing another question at her. So let's look at the next example. Let's say you ask, do you like dogs or cats? A fun way to follow up is to let her answer and then just tease her about it. So let's say she tells you she likes cats, right? You could say, oh yeah, I could totally see you becoming one of those crazy cat ladies one day. You have potential for it, right? Smirk on your face always, tone, or you could go, cats, wow, such a red flag. This is never going to work out. Or a joke or a tease always makes a conversation more fun and sparks attraction. It gets the woman more invested and opens up the room for more banter and fun and more attraction. So this is always a great follow-up to a question. Next, we have sharing a related story or opinion. So very simple stuff. Let's say you ask her, where did you go on your last holiday? And she says that she went to London last Christmas. Now you could tell her a story about you visiting London, a story about what you did last Christmas, or just a story about your own last holiday, or the fact that you didn't go to London. So for example, you could be like, oh, that sounds so lovely. I've been to London, but never during Christmas. But when I went there, my friends and I went to see a soccer game, and it was such a blast. We went there, and so happened, and you continue the story, right? Little anecdotes and stories are always a great way to drive conversations with another person, especially women. It's inherently interesting to the human brain. It helps her to get to know you better. It gives her more content to ask about, comment on, maybe share a story of her own, or it might even open the door to some banter and flirting. I mean, I can't say enough about what an advantage it is to be a good storyteller. But anyways, here's the final follow-up technique. Asking her to elaborate. Let's say you go with the question, would you rather have a 1-minute conversation with yourself, your past self, or your future self? And she thinks a little and then she replies, I think I'd like to talk to my past self. You could say, oh yeah? What would you tell her? Or let's say you ask her this question. So what's been your favorite TV show lately? She might say, oh, I'm really hooked on Bridgerton right now. Again, these are short, simple responses. You could say, what's it about? What's gotten you so hooked on it? Now, before you overthink it and overanalyze this stuff, let me just go ahead and tell you that none of these follow-ups are inherently better than the other. All fulfill the same job. They keep the conversation going. They expand the conversation. They bring out more conversation material that can be talked about. And they do it without making things dull and boring. However, you're best served mixing and matching these tactics. Meaning, you have to see what works best for yourself. And don't just ask a question, tease, ask a question, tease, and so on. That's not very different from asking a question after a question after a question. It gets boring so fast. So you want to mix it up a little bit. Sometimes you go with a tease. Sometimes you go with a story. Or you answer the same question. Or you ask her to elaborate. You want more details about this. You're curious. And with these things in mind, you can keep having that nice back and forth conversation that keeps her engaged. Now, that said, if you'd like to see how to make your conversations more flirty and sexually charged so you can make women want to be more than just friends with you, then you should click the link in the description below and check out my flagship program, the F Formula. The F Formula gives you a simple step-by-step breakdown of how to have fun, flirty conversations with women that make her heart race and gets her all tingly all over. Plus, it gives you tons of examples for exactly what to say to turn women on and get her in the mood. The best part is, over 40,000 of my students have followed this exact formula to attract and sleep with and be with and get and keep beautiful women of their choice. And many have used it to turn things around with a woman who lost interest or started pulling away. So whether it comes to making a woman want you sexually or just reigniting her interest, this is the most proven and effective tool I can hand you as your wing girl. To find out everything about the F Formula, just click the link in the description below. I have made a very special video for you where I reveal what the formula is, how to use it, and how it works. So just hit the link to see it now. And of course, thank you for watching this video to the very end. I hope that you found it useful and I hope you put it to good use. I'll see you next week.